Chapter 1. This is all about work and pay policies. So even if you get the shift schedule right, the employees love the schedule, they love the labor strategies. If you don't get the work and pay policies right, you may end up making some major mistakes that you can't correct later. I'll give you some examples. When you look in I'll use manufacturing as an example here, but it could be healthcare or retail or anywhere else. We've got things like shift change strategies, relief staffing to cover for people that are off, people that are working on a night shift. We have off-shift retention strategies, pay differentials, the 44th hour. All of these things, if you don't correct them when you're looking to do the right implementation, you're not going to be able to get this money back later. This is an example from an actual customer of ours that said, thank you for the great labor strategies, we'll take it from here. And what happened is they ended up implementing, the employees were very happy and they said, this is much more expensive than we thought it would be. It's going to cost us about $3 million over the course of the year. We're 6 months in, we're about $1.5 million in the hole. What happened? And we said, did you change any of the work and pay policies so critical to the business success? And they said, we never thought about that. You can't avoid getting into those work and pay policies. If it's a non-union environment, how do we engage the workforce to do this together? And if it's a union environment, how do we sit down with the union leadership team to negotiate in a way that's transparent and where both sides win? So that's critical. But I want to touch on 2 of those categories with you today. The first one is a shift differential. Hourly environments are famous for paying shift differentials to people on a second or third shift. Maybe it's weekend work. We'll pay another shift differential for that. So on first shift, we traditionally don't pay a shift differential. It's day shift, okay? Second shift, maybe we pay 25 cents. Third shift, maybe 40 cents or 50 cents. Sometimes these numbers are much higher. Maybe it's 50 cents on second shift and $1 on third. And I ask leadership teams all the time, why are you paying a shift differential? And what they tell me is that, well, we're asking people to work second shift, and that's much more difficult than first shift, so we're going to compensate them financially for that. And third shift, well, that's really hard. They have to work overnight, and so we really need to pay them more for that. And I ask them a couple of questions. I say, by paying somebody more money, do they like the shift schedule now? And they say, no, they still don't like the shift schedule, but they're willing to tolerate it. I say, do you want to have employees that don't like what they're doing, but they're tolerating it? That's not going to work in the long term for you. On top of that, they told you they have a scheduling problem, not a pay problem. So you're solving an operational and HR issue with a financial solution. That also doesn't work. The third reason why I'm going to tell you shift differentials are a terrible idea is because when you think about what the most popular shift is, it's day shift. And in this example, we're saying first shift. But the second most popular shift in the United States and Canada, preferred 2-to-1 over its counterpart, is third shift. Third shift is preferred 2-to-1 over second shift. So why do we pay more money in a shift differential to third shift? It makes absolutely no sense. And management teams tell me, well, it goes first, second, and third. See how the numbers get bigger? So we make the numbers for dollar compensation bigger too. It's completely illogical. It does not make sense, yet we're spending money every day on this for no apparent reason. Okay, so yes, the least popular shift is second shift. Why is that? You never see your kids. You go to work before they come home from school, and you go back to work, and you come home from work when they're already asleep. So it creates a very difficult family situation. Okay, so shift differentials do not make sense, and they do not drive value for you. The right answer is, let's get better shift schedules for our employees that they actually want to work, giving them more days off. They can work longer shifts and get 80 more days off a year before they take a single hour of vacation or holidays. So a lot of companies today in a wide range of industries are looking at 12-hour shifts. And this brings me to that second category I wanted to talk to you about, the 44th hour. The 44th hour is a critical pay policy to catch before you implement your solutions. To do this, you need to understand federal labor laws. Federal law states that we can't pay average week to week. We have to set a pay week for our employees, and if they work over 40 hours in that week, we need to pay them time and a half. So as I share with you the first shift schedule we're going to talk about today, this is a 12-hour shift, and for day shift, it's the most popular shift schedule in the country right now for 7-day operations. Key, 7-day operations. If you have to cover 7 days, this is how employees would rather do it than any other shift schedule out there. You work half the time and you play half the time. So in the first week, you work Monday and Tuesday and you get Wednesday and Thursday off. Then you work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before getting Monday and Tuesday off. You work 2 days and then you get a 3-day weekend, and that's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. A 3-day weekend every other week without taking any vacations or holidays. That means if you look towards the bottom of this slide, I'm going to work 182 days a year, which means I'm also going to get 182 days off. Work half the time, play half the time. I get half my weekends off. They're 3-day weekends, and I never work more than 3 shifts in a row. So yes, they're 12-hour shifts. They're long. They're 50% longer than an 8-hour shift. But I get so many more days off, and I never work more than 3 shifts in a row on my base schedule. So what's the problem with this great schedule that people tend to love? The problem is I'm working 48 hours in my first week and 36 hours in my second. And what that means is when I work 48 hours, I've got to pay 52 hours. 48, 8 hours at time and a half, gets me to 52 paid hours. In my second week, I only work 36 hours. So I'm only paying 36 hours. Now, just because I'm averaging 44 hours of work across those 2 periods, or pay across those 2 periods, excuse me, 42 hours of work on average should be 43 hours of pay, right? 2 hours of overtime on average, but federal law doesn't allow me to do that. And that means that I have an increase in payroll costs of 2.3%. That can be very expensive, especially for companies with a very large workforce. So yes, let's go to 7-day operations and maximize capital utilization and drive better service for our customers. But let's watch out for these pay policies and design the schedules properly so we're not just adding additional costs to the structure without understanding that with our eyes wide open.